You know the feeling. You're scrolling through an article online, you get to the bottom, and bam, you hit this wall of super dense, legal looking text. We all do it, right? Our eyes just glaze over and we keep on scrolling. But what are we actually agreeing to? Well, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to crack the code on one of these notices. Exactly. You see this block of text everywhere, and it feels like it's both really important and completely unreadable. It's almost like it's designed to be ignored. But not today. Today, we're not skipping it. We're going to treat it like a puzzle, and we're going to figure out exactly what it's trying to tell us. And here it is. This is our case file for this explainer. This is a real notice of use restrictions from the Harvard Business Review. I know, it's full of intimidating words like licensees, persistent linking, and learning management systems. It sounds super complicated, but just stick with me. We are going to break this down piece by piece. All right, this is where the fun really begins. We are going to completely dissect this thing, understand all the lingo, identify who's who, and figure out the actual rules of the game. That way, you'll know exactly what's what. Okay, so first things first, in any investigation, you gotta understand the language, right? Legal notices are famous for their jargon, so let's define a few of the key terms from our text just to get us all on the same page. First up, electronic reserves. The easiest way to think about this is like the digital version of a librarian taking a book, putting it behind the counter, and saying, this is on hold for this specific class. It's just a dedicated online space where only students in that course can get their required reading. Next up, we've got persistent linking. Now, this is just a really fancy way of saying a permanent, unbreakable link. You know how sometimes a normal web link can break if a site gets reorganized? Well, a persistent link is built to last. It's meant to be a direct, totally reliable signpost to that one specific article forever. And the final piece of jargon here is LMS. That stands for Learning Management System. Basically, this is the business world's version of a university's online course website. It's the platform where a company would put all its training videos, compliance courses, and that kind of employee development stuff. All right, so now we speak the language. The jargon makes sense. So our next move is to figure out who's actually involved here. Every contract has its parties, and this notice is no different. Let's ID the players. So in our case, there are 3 key players on the field. First, you've got the creator. That's Harvard Business Publishing. They're the ones who actually make the content. Then they give that content to a distributor, in this case, EBSCOhost, which is the service that lets people access it. And finally, the most important player in this whole thing, the authorized user. Yep, that's you. Okay, we've defined the terms, we've identified the players, and now we can finally get to the heart of it all. Let's pull back the curtain and uncover the core rules this notice is actually laying out for everybody. And right here, this is the absolute crucial distinction the notice is making. On one side, you have private individual use. That's just you reading an article for your own curiosity or your own research. But on the other side, you've got assigned course or training use. That's a professor or a manager making it required reading for a whole group of people. And that, well, that's a whole different ballgame with a different set of rules. So this is the main takeaway. The really heavy restrictions, they aren't aimed at you, the person just reading for yourself. They are specifically designed to manage how institutions, we're talking universities and big companies, use this content for structured, organized group learning. And the notice gets super specific about what these institutions cannot do. They can't stick these articles in their electronic reserves or in digital course packs. Professors are explicitly told no persistent linking from your syllabus to assign it. And companies, they can't host this stuff on their internal training platforms, their LMS. So we've decoded the jargon, we've identified the players, and we totally understand the rules. For our final step, our debrief, let's put it all together into a super clear, simple playbook so you know exactly what the green lights and red lights are. This chart really lays it all out pretty clearly. If you're an individual user, hey, you get a green light for your own personal reading and research. It's that simple. But for academic institutions and for businesses, using this content for teaching or training, that falls squarely in the red light category under this specific license. They're prohibited from doing it without getting more permission. And of course, that leads to the really obvious question, right? What if you are that professor who found the perfect HBR article for your class? Or you're a corporate trainer who needs it for a new module? Is it just impossible? Well, no, not at all. The notice actually tells us the answer. Yeah, the notice itself provides a really clear path forward. It spells it right out. Harvard Business Publishing says they'd be pleased to grant permission.
All an institution has to do is reach out to them at their permissions email address, ask about the rates, and get the proper license to use it. Simple as that. So we did it. We cracked the code on this one notice. We took a confusing block of text and turned it into a clear, understandable set of rules. But this is just one rulebook from one publisher. And that leaves us with a much bigger question, doesn't it? In this huge digital world with a practically infinite amount of content, who's writing the rules for everything else we consume every single day? And do any of us actually know what they say?